Hi, hello. Thank you for buying the computer. This is a little instruction video of how to connect it and how to use it. So this is the PowerMac G4. I have cleaned it all when I first got it with the scanner that I have. You can open it like this with a little latch, and then you can open the inside. You can access the inside. This here is the hard drive here in the back. Well, it's not a hard drive, it's an SSD. I replaced it just for longevity, and I also replaced this battery with a brand new one, so it should last most often like a couple of years, so you won't have to think about it for the next couple of years. And then these two cards are installed. So this is the SCSI card, this is the video card. You can see on the back that the video card has the connector for the monitor, and this is the connector that will connect to the scanner. So once you close it, you see here in the back power cord, and this is to the scanner, and here is the gigabit Ethernet. And this is where you can connect keyboard and mouse to USB ports. These USB ports is USB 1 if I'm not mistaken, or maybe USB 2, but they're very slow. So you can use this to copy the photos to an external drive or something, but it will take a long time. So I suggest using the Ethernet port to directly connect it to another computer, preferably an Apple computer, because it uses the SMB1 protocol. So if you connect this Ethernet to another Apple computer, a newer one, it could be like a, I don't know, I use an M1 Max MacBook, and if I directly connect it, it immediately shows up in Finder. I can just copy all the files directly over a very quick speed. Okay, so that is the physical computer. Included in the package is also, this is like the installation CD of the operating system. For whatever reason, if you ever have to reset the computer, you can do that with these installation discs. But I don't assume you ever have to do that, but it's a good thing to keep with it. This is the right OS that can run the flexcolor, the latest flexcolor software. So other operating systems, I wouldn't update it. So yeah. Okay, and also included is, this is the SCSI cable, this, and also the power cable. Okay, now to connecting everything. So this is the back of the Imacon scanner. As you can see, it has two SCSI ports. That is because you can daisy chain SCSI, so technically you could connect this device, and then from this cable you could connect another device, and then you have multiple devices running at the same time. But because of that, it is very important that you connect the computer to the, if you look at the back, like this port, which is the closest to, wait, let me turn. So this is the power cable of the Imacon. You have to connect the computer to the one that's closest to the power cable, and then this one needs a SCSI terminator, which is just this passive plug that kind of plugs in, that doesn't have a cable. It's just like this. It kind of tells the system like, okay, this is the end of the chain of SCSI, and yeah, that just has to be there. Okay, so you just connect the cable that is included in the package. You make sure these little clips are clipped in so it doesn't fall out. It's quite a hefty cable. And the other side, sorry, a second, I will try to show you. Sorry, I'm working a bit in a tight spot. So this cable you put in the SCSI card, just like so. Oh, sorry, it's upside down. Go like that. Make sure it's nicely snug, and then you can attach the little thumb screws so it doesn't fall out. and then of course you will have to connect your monitor. You already have the cable, that is nice, so it will go to the HDMI of your monitor. And then I will connect my monitor. Let's see, it's down here in the video card. And then you can also tighten these little screws, just like so. Then make sure you have some kind of keyboard or mouse setup that runs over USB, because you can plug it in here like that. And then put it, oh yeah, and of course the power cable, this one, goes right there, like that. Let's see. And now it should turn on when I press the power button. There we go. Oh, sorry, I pressed the power button already, but I made a mistake. You first have to turn on the scanner. That's very important. And wait for the scanner to boot. Just wait until the green light starts flashing. I think this is most often. Sometimes it takes a bit longer. It depends on how you last used the scanner. So sometimes it will boot, it will make some noises, and sometimes it won't. But right now it's already set up in the right orientation. So now, because it's all connected, it's important to start this first and then the computer. If you have the computer running and you will start the scanner, it will not work. So the computer has to be off when you turn on the scanner, and then you turn on the computer, just like that. Okay, so we're back. Sorry, I don't have anything to record the screen, but I'll try to show you as good as possible what I'm doing. In the dock here, I put the flexcolor software. You can just open it, and then the scanner will give this indication. The light will flash. What it's doing at that point is it's loading the firmware from the computer to the scanner, and that means that it's working. And then the software should look like this. Yeah, the flexcolor software, it's a bit something to get used to. It's not the most straightforward software of how to use it, but the main thing that is important to start with is make sure the setup is right. So whatever film or whatever positive or whatever you put into the scanner is like set normally. With negatives, I always use negative RGB standard. That is my go-to setup, and the frame has to match the frames that come with your scanner. I have a couple of them with 35mm film. I often use this one. It's the 2436x12. It's a custom frame that I bought. I will show you. This is the one I always use for 35mm, but because the frames aren't center, you can only use half the resolution because the scanner has to be further away from the negative. So for higher resolution scans for 35mm, I also have this one. Because it's centered, you can scan up to 6300 dpi, and with this one, because it is further away to scan, it can only scan with 3330 dpi. I think it's dpi. Oh, it's ppi. Sorry, ppi. And yeah, there's different holders, as you can see, and which holder you use is not like automatic, so you have to select which one you use. So I don't know which holders you have with your scanner, but it is important that here in the software you select which one you have, and when you press customize, you have a very big list with possible formats. So it depends a bit on what you have. You can also make new ones. like this one. This is a custom made one for the, so I can scan 12 photos at the same time, which I like because it can kind of automatically go through all the pictures when you make a batch scan. So yeah, I use that one a lot for 35. And of course with the RB67, I use this one, which is kind of, yeah, RB67. So yeah. I will grab a little example negative and I'll show you how to run the software for a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, I put some negatives in my film holder. That will now go into the scanner. Just make sure it's like nicely aligned. It should hold with some magnets inside. And back to the software. Since this is the, wait, let me, yeah, there we go. Since this is the 24, 36, 12 frame, I use this one. Mode is, I like to use RGB 16-bit. It has a little bit more color depth if you use that. You can also use CMYK standards. I don't know. I have always used RGB 16-bit, so yeah. For black and white images, of course, use grayscale 16-bit. It has a lot of information. So now the film is in, where the software is all booted and all the things are selected. You can now make a preview scan. Once you press this, it's gonna take a couple of seconds. It's gonna focus it because you selected a different holder. The lens will now move inside. That's the noise you hear, and that's this light goes on, turns on when it's adjusting its focusing. And this light will burn when it's actually scanning, when the scanner is scanning. It's kind of self-explanatory, but still, it's. There we go. And while it's going through, you can kind of slowly see the images appear. This is the speed of the preview scan, which is very low resolution. The actual scan is going to take a lot longer. When the preview is done, it should look something like this. Because these are quite wide formats, you have the wide thing. Here you can change some viewing settings. So now I'm rotating it because I like to look at my images, I don't know, rightly rotated. And here you can zoom in and out. With this one, it will bring it back to its like basic size. It's like the whole width of the screen. It kind of matches the size of the screen. But I like to, when I'm editing the pictures, to have them a bit closer just to see what I'm doing. So now it is important that before you do anything else is here you set the right resolution. The lower the resolution, the quicker the scan. The higher the resolution, the slower the scan, but of course the higher resolution. So it's nice to, I don't know, I just put it very high and then hope for the best. I just turn it on and then I walk away, and then it takes maybe an hour for the whole thing, but eventually you will have the best pictures. And it kind of calculates a little bit the size of the image. Right now, since I have nothing selected, it has selected the whole frame. So it selected everything. So when you press scan right now, it will scan the whole thing without anything, but I don't know, that's a bit too much for me. So what I like to do is open with this button here. That opens the batch scan window, and in this window you can kind of prepare a batch scan. So right now you can start selecting the image. What I first do is I select within the borders, so without any borders on it. I select, for example, this, and then it shows you a waveform. And here it is very important to set the right shadows and black levels, because as you can see, this picture has a very bright highlight and is completely clipped. And it's important before scanning to set these at the right point, so you have the most information at the end of your scan. After you make these adjustments, there's this little loading wheel that appears like right there, and that kind of shows you if it's processing or not. It's important to, once you've set these at the right level, so shadows like underneath your shadows and highlights above your highlights, to also do that with the RGB levels the same. So right now this image looks kind of fucked up. If you set this also to the highlights, of course this is also a bit of preference, so you can also creatively, I don't know, choose different ways to do things, but I don't know, this is kind of the way I found out to get the best results from the scans. Now it's processing. Okay, now here it is. It seems a bit flat now. That is because we have all information, so it kind of, you kind of make it flat by doing this, but for post-processing, of course, that's better. You do a lot with color, I think I've got from your messages, so you probably understand what I'm talking about. Now for the final selection, I like to include a bit of everything around it, and also a little bit of the next picture, just to be wide enough to the scan. The selection is not always exact, so maybe it moves a little bit while you're scanning, so it is quite standard to give yourself a little bit of margin of error to play with. And then once you've done that, you can here in the batch scan, because now your colors are set correctly. Also, oh yeah, that's something important. This gradations window, you also have it. You can open these windows with these buttons. So let's see, if you press this is your waveform window, this is your gradations window, and yeah, there are some color correction windows. I don't really like to use this, and these are like for the texture. There's some options here you can play with. I don't know, I don't really touch these. It's not interesting to me, but you can play a bit with the gammas. So if you like to have a little bit more of information in the shadows or something, it kind of gives you some more information sometimes. If you up the shadow depth a little bit, you can get a lot more information sometimes, but it also flattens your image a lot, so I don't like to put it too high. Yeah, I like to have a little bit of contrast in my shadows. Let's see where we're going. Something like that. It looks good to me. Okay, so now we are ready. Then you can go to the batch scan window, and in the batch scan you can press add, and then it will ask you where to save it. My way of doing this is I made this user called Imacon. Also, there's no passwords or anything on this computer, so anything you open should be able to do this. And in here I go to the public folder right here, and in there I make a folder with the date, current date. What is it? It's 11th of February, so 11/02/26. Of course, this will be empty when you receive the computer. I have used it until, as you can see, till these dates, so it's been used quite recently with this computer. But and then in this folder, I don't know, what I like to do is just make another folder with the film, the camera. So these pictures were shot on my Xpan, so I make an Xpan folder in there, And then in that I like to add which film, but yeah, of course you can create your own workflow. I think this is called is it 200? I'm not sure. Let's just name it 200. This is just a test to create. And then you press save. And what it does then, it creates like this thing. It's like an executable kind of thing. So it's this. It will slowly create a list here with pictures to scan. So if I now go to the next picture, this one for example, the colors are quite okay. So I'll just add it like this without any changes. I just add, and then in the same list, as you can see, there's no file yet for the other thing because it hasn't scanned this image yet. So then you just press save, and then in here it makes scan to. And now if you in this list, you can still go back to your selections, but you can't really change these anymore. They're kind of baked in. So you will have to, if you want to change any colors or anything, you will have to remove it from the list and then do your adjustments and then add it again. And it's important that if you do a batch scan like this with multiple images, to press scan here. If you press scan here, it will only do the last one. But if you press scan here, it will do the whole batch. So I'm just gonna do that now, just so I can show you what will happen afterwards. So after that, it will show you that it's starting to scan, and here it's preparing. And yeah, I'm gonna fast forward this a little bit for you, just to show what's happening. Okay, so because it's scanning at the 3200 dpi, it's taking a few minutes. I will show you something in the meantime. So I connected the Ethernet at the back of the computer, and I will plug this directly into my newer Mac, because yeah, that's nice. This is just directly without switch, without anything, directly plugged into the computer. And the way this computer is set up, that it will host a server, so this will show up in Finder once you plug it in. It can take maybe a minute, but here it shows up the same folder, which is the shared folder on this computer that I showed before. And in there is the folder that we just created. It's was it this one? 1 to 26? Yeah, it's this one. And oh no, wait, sorry, I made a mistake. It's 11 too. Yeah, there we go. This is the folder that we just created, and here's the scan that is still being scanned as we speak. So here it will show up as an incomplete file right now, but once it's scanned, like you can see, it's completely black. But once it's scanned, it will just show up here, and then you can drag and drop it from here to a hard drive to start editing it. That's the way I like to do this. But I think that kind of makes sense to do it like that. Yeah, I will get back to you. Oh yeah, in case it doesn't, in case it doesn't show up in Finder on the computer, something you can check is on this computer, if you go to System Preferences and you go to Sharing, this folder, make sure personal file sharing is turned on. I also have Apple Remote Desktop turned on. When you have this turned on, you can also see the screen from the other computer. I had it, I had it running sometime, but I don't use it anymore, so I will turn it off for you. But if you turn this on, you can control this computer with the other Mac, but yeah, it's a bit finicky, and it's not so nice. So I would suggest using it directly, but make sure this personal file sharing is turned on. That makes it so the sharing folder on this computer, if you go to Finder and Public, this folder, oh sorry, I went a bit too far, this folder is the one that you see when you open it on another computer, like this. Yeah, see, that's the same folder. Okay. Yeah. So now here you can see the scan is done. It gets a little check mark in the batch scan, and then the next one will start scanning. If you have a bigger list with, of course, I don't know, however, it depends on what holder you have, of course, but maybe you only have one, then you can just press the scan button up there. But this way you can have a little overview of the scans that are still needing to be done. But now this one picture is scanned, we can go to the other computer and we can go to the network attached device, Imacon Flextight, and then in here you go to the right folder that you created, which is this one, Xpan, go to cold, and then scan 1, this is the scan. And now I suggest copying it to another. I'm just gonna copy it to a temporary folder. I'm just gonna copy it to my documents for now, just to show you. As you can see, that was 120 megabytes, which for this computer, for this old, the G4, it's quite fast, how fast that copied. And now we can see the scan we just made in full resolution. As you can see, it's quite crisp. Yeah, might not be the best picture to show crispness or colors because there's such a big flare in the middle of the photo, but you get the idea. Also, it is smart to maybe before you start scanning remove any dust with like a little blower or something. I didn't do that for this example, so there's quite some little marks. It saves a bit of time with editing, and then now you can just open it in Lightroom or whatever software you might have to edit this, and it's a TIFF file. So here's some information. I don't know if that's interesting. This is the resolution I scanned it at, and yeah. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to cancel this second scan. It comes out just like that. And now I want to show some other things that you can do with this software. Of course, there are settings, preferences up here. And in these preferences, wait, I think I'm in the wrong screen. Give me a, wait, no, file. Setup, that's the one you want. So not preferences, but in file, you want to go to setup. Here it gives some more settings for the scanner itself. You can, in the, let me check, the color correction, automatic, color sync, here in the D-screen setting, this one, that is kind of the focus of your lens. It depends on how often your scanner has been serviced, but sometimes it might need a little adjustment. I would not make big adjustments with this, but you can kind of get an idea of what you're doing. So with the D-screen setting, you can change it to, well, I would leave it at 0 for now. And then you press OK. And then here in the little settings window, you can open this magnifying glass window, which will open this. And then you can press on one of the windows, and then you can select an area of your image. So select a high contrast area here on this little horse. Its legs is probably a good example. And once you press, it actually starts scanning a very high resolution of just this area. Takes some time. It always needs to warm up a little bit when you press it. It takes a minute. And as you can see, it calls it a detail view. I guess that's what it's called. But when you do this, you can make new scans for each window here. And that way you can make adjustments to, for example, the focus or the D-screen as it's called in the settings. And you can kind of see the progress of actually what you're doing. So I'll show you a little example. Yeah, so here you can see, yeah, it shifted a little bit. That is what I was talking about before. When you make the selection, it's better if you make it a bit wider because it always shifts a tiny bit around. So now we made one scan. If we go to setup again and we say like the screen +2, and we say okay, it can also go into the minus, by the way. Yeah, so let's keep that there. 2. Press OK. And then it will keep this one with 0. And then we can just press this and select the same horse legs as before. And then when you press it, it will use the new settings. As you can see, it's adjusting the focus, and then it will start scanning. So then this one is D-screen set to 0, this one is D-screen set to 2. And this way you can kind of fine-tune the focus of your Imacon scanner. I have, with my scanner, I think 0 is quite good already. Sometimes it's even hard to see the difference between 1 and 2. So you can also make a bigger jump, for example, go to like +5 and just see if that got worse or better. And then if it got better, then just go to like 7 and then just keep making these little example scans, because once the setting is set for your scanner, it will kind of remember it. So it will yeah, it will kind of remember how you set the focus. That way you get the best resolution out of the scanner. Let's see here. Yeah, as you can see, one is quite sharp, and then the second one, it's a bit more fuzzy. So now you know that like this was the right focus compared to this one. But just play around with that a little bit with your scanner, and then you can just keep making adjustments and remaking the scan, and yeah, you can lock these just to make sure you don't like touch them. Okay, I think that is a quite elaborate overview of how everything works. I hope it's clear to you of like how to use this computer in combination with the scanner. You can always hit me up if there's any other questions. I will try to answer as good as possible. Yeah, well, good luck with your scanning adventures. Oh yeah, for the turning off, maybe that's also important to note, is when you press just off, mostly nothing will happen, but it is better to follow the same procedure as the startup of the computer. So it's kind of, SCSI is kind of layered. So first you have the scanner, and on top of that you have the computer. And if you turn it off, you have to do it in the same order again, but backwards. So you turn off the computer and then the scanner. So for the safest way to operate it is just to quit and then to shut down the computer. Okay, shut down. And then once it's off, You can see the light turn off in the front. Then you turn off the scanner. That way nothing weird will happen. So yeah. I think that is all. Just let me know if you have any questions. Oh yeah, and I realized that the flexcolor software wasn't included yet in the computer, so I put here on the desktop. This is an installer for the software of the flexcolor. It's already installed on this computer, but for whatever case you ever have to reset the Mac with the included CDs, you also have to reinstall flexcolor. So make sure you copy this to like an external USB drive or somewhere where you can keep it safe. You can still find it on the internet, but you never know for how long that is still available online. So it's nice to just have it to make sure everything will always work.